moments, hottest takes, and the wildest stories from the world of pro wrestling. Whether you're a diehard fan or just stepping into the squared circle, we're here to give you the real scoop on everything happening in the ring.
I'm your host, RJD, and we're about to take a ride through the latest and greatest in pro wrestling. Get ready for all our hot takes, deep dives, and all the wrestling you never knew you needed.
Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button and join What the Wrestling family so you never miss an episode. Now let's step into the ring.
You're listening to the What the Wrestling podcast, the show that brings you all things wrestling with your host, RJD.
Oh, you already know what time it is. WWE, everybody. Man, oh man, we got people coming back. We got shit we didn't ask for. I shouldn't have cussed so soon. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of stuff going on in WWE on Monday. Yes, I know yesterday was Wednesday and everybody's looking for the Dynamite review. And it's coming, so tranquilo. That review will be out either later today or tomorrow, so look out for that. But before we waste any more time, let's get to Monday. Let's go. Yes, it's I, RJD here. Welcome to What the Wrestling, the show that brings you all things wrestling. Once again, I am your host, RJD. We have some good, some bad, and some ugly on Monday Night Raw. We're going to get into it real quick. I'm going to give you my thoughts on what is going on. Quick updates to the channel. Like I said, today is my day off, but the streams most likely are going to come, the live streams are going to come on Mondays and Fridays. And obviously, if there's a pay-per-view, we'll get one on Saturday or Sunday because, you know, I got stuff during the day I got to do. I got a day job, you know what I'm saying? So I got to handle my business. Got to handle the business. But look forward to those. First things first, shout out to everybody hitting the like button. Hit the like button, like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel on Juneteenth at 10:49 a.m. Hopefully everybody is having themselves a good day off. You know what? Shout out, Don DeMarco. Don DeMarco for a day off for those of us who have day jobs, and Don DeMarco for recognizing Black excellence. Shout out to everybody. Yes, I am a Black guy, so we're going to recognize that. But let's get into this. Monday Night Raw, everybody. Monday Night Raw, everybody. We had some bad stuff on this show. One for one reason, one for another. Now, let's start here. I want to start with Goldberg, man. That's an L. We're going to start with Goldberg. We ain't even going to wait. We're just gonna get right to it. We're gonna get right to it. We have some people coming back, and I know we have some good stuff, but we gotta start with Goldberg, yo. All right, first things first. Like, hit the like, type of 1 in the chat if you want to Goldberg back. Type of 1 in the chat.
You stupid.
Bruh, Goldberg is back for one final match, and
Nope.
we didn't ask for this. We did not ask for this. We did not want this. Apparently, word on the street is that Mr. Goldberg was promised one more retirement match, and because he was promised that match by the who shall not be named, now I guess they finally said, you know what, this is what we're gonna do. So we had Gunther. Now there's a plethora of things wrong with this. All right, now Goldberg, I think, has lost 4 of his last 5 matches, and you know that's okay. It's not like he's coming down every week and he's on the road every week. I get it. He's an attraction, and he's still Goldberg. He's not the Goldberg from my childhood. He's not even the Goldberg from when he came back and beat Brock Lesnar. He's not even that Goldberg anymore. But they want to give him a send-off. He wanted a send-off. He was promised one. Okay, give him a send-off. I'm not mad at that. But let's start with this. Why is this for the title?
Nope.
Why is this for the title? If you're going to have Gunther beat Jay, you're going to have Gunther beat Jay somewhere else another time. Give Jay a quick opponent, just real quick, and then take the title off Jay if you were going to do it anyway. Take the title off him after, because this doesn't need the title. How does Goldberg come off the street to get a title shot? How does that happen? I saw on, and we got to shout out Busted Open Radio. Got to shout them out. Because even one of the good fellows on there was saying, listen, John Cena had to work his ass off to get that title shot. He had to win the Royal Rumble to get that title shot. And he got the title shot and won. He cheated. He sold his soul to win. He was losing matches. He hasn't won a match in forever. He sold his soul, and that's how he got the dub. Cool. I'm all for that story. What the hell Goldberg had to do to get this title shot? What did he have to do to earn this title shot? He didn't have to do jack squat. It just kind of landed on his lap. Hey, brother Goldberg, you want to have a title shot? Yeah? Cool. Come on off the bench and come in here and get this title shot, bruh. We gonna line it right up for you. Like, come on, man. We got to do better. We have to do better. There's no reason. And I didn't even know Goldberg was 58. Now, that don't mean nothing because, you know, these brothers are keeping themselves in such good shape. They're wrestling into their 50s and 60s. They can't do what they used to do, but they don't have to. They're attractions. And you know what? Stop the show. I heard something the other day. From Charleston White, of all people. And it was like a short. I was just scrolling for no reason. And I came across this and I was like, damn, that makes perfect sense. And I didn't really notice it until now. And I'm going to tie this into Goldberg in a minute. Charleston White said, we don't like our heroes, our old school, like as far as music, our heroes, our old school. I don't know what he did to deserve this. It's not a punishment. But our heroes, like all the old bands, right? Now, I grew up and I was born in 87, right? So I grew up on, you know, Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, Jay-Z, Eminem, P.O.D., you know, Slipknot, I grew up on that era, right? And they were like, no, there's some people that's older than me. They grew up on Metallica and, you know, Guns N' Roses in the 80s and all that. That's probably my parents' era. So they were like, Charleston White said, we don't want new music. We want to listen to the old music. Like those old school artists, they don't make new music. They make old music. And then we go to the shows and they literally do a tour every year of the old music forever. And we love it. We don't want to hear new shit. And I was like, damn, that makes sense. That's true. Because when you go to these concerts of these bands from that era, when you go to these bands from that era, you don't want to hear new shit. I don't want to hear new Limp Bizkit shit. I want to hear break stuff, and I want to mosh pit like I used to do in my 20s. I don't do that no more. And, I got old. I'm a little older now. I chill. I watch the youngins do that. But when Let the Bodies Hit the Floor, where AEW came on, I felt that. that was me. Shout out to my boy Renee. Hope he sees this. You know what I'm saying? And me waking up the next day, like, going to work with a hurt shoulder. That was me. We want to hear the old shit. We don't want no new stuff. So when it comes to, I tie this into this, you can have somebody like a Cena, a Goldberg, who's another OG, a Sting, and they don't got to do much. We just want the greatest hits. The Hardys, perfect example of this. Hardys, we want the greatest hits. You know what I'm saying? We want the greatest hits. So if you're going to bring Goldberg, I say all that to say, yeah, every generation definitely does have their own era. You know what I'm saying? I think my era, that 95, 6 to 2005-ish, like the I guess millennials, right? Because I would be considered an older millennial. Millennials like 28 to 42. That era right there, millennials have seen it all. Literally, we have seen it all. If you're a millennial, you've seen it all. You lived through a world. You lived through the Iraq War. You seen wars. You lived through a pandemic. You had like the greatest music. You lived through Y2K. like millennials lived through it all. If you're a millennial, you know what it's like to not have internet. You know what it's like to not have Wi-Fi. You know what it's like to have old AOL. Somebody call you and you get tight. Why you calling me? I'm on the internet. Like, you old enough to remember that. Some of us are old enough to remember beepers, two-way pages, sidekicks. Then we went into iPhones and Blackberries. And now it's just iPhones and Samsung. Like, you lived through a lot of shit, you as a millennial. Shout out to us, man. Shout out to millennials. But anyway, Goldberg coming back. He did not need the goddamn title. This did not need the title, not at all, not one bit. No, it did not. If they were going to do this to Jay, they could have had Jay lose the title to Gunther for SummerSlam or something else. It would have been predictable as hell, but who cares? This didn't need the title, man. And that's my problem with this. Why do you have this and you don't gotta, he didn't have to work for nothing. He didn't have to work for shit. All he had to do was come up off the couch and get this. And the fact of he looked crazy. He was limping. I was like, nope. He was limping. It's like he couldn't get up on the apron and he had to kind of, I love the intensity. Like, he still got the intensity, but it's like, damn, I hope, even in the tweet, he tweeted, Gunther tweeted, "Oh, Goldberg's back. I guess I got 3 minutes." Don DeMarco for him for that. Don DeMarco. But yeah, I wasn't feeling that at all. Goldberg coming back. Gunther. Now, he better now win. If he win, I swear to God. But I don't think he's gonna win. This match is gonna go. I think the entrances will be longer than the match. To be honest, the entrances will be longer than the match. So let's go. Let's start back at the top. We're gonna blow through this. Liv Morgan addressed Nikki Bella. She said all that to say she's the best. She's the one who, came up with the. She's the one who came up with the, I help women's wrestling and all of that stuff. Now, Io Sky saying that Nikki Bella helped women's wrestling and she was like the pioneer. No. Now listen. Nope. Did they add to it? Absolutely, because they got real famous, they got real popular, Bella Twins. So we're not going to throw dirt on their name. I'm not going to do that. But Sasha Banks and Bayley, NXT TakeOver. That's women's wrestling. That main event. That right there. Between AJ Lee and Paige. That NXT Sasha Banks and Bayley. That NXT Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken, Brooklyn 1. Yeah. That right there started that. Revolution, not the Bella Twins. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh no. So we're not going to do that. But that's basically what happened there. Io Sky came out. She addressed her. And shout out to Io Sky. She jumped up on there and said, yo, you can't steal it like you stole Dirty Dom. I was like, okay. Okay, that was a good line. I'll take that. And then afterwards, she threw the title at her. She kicked her. They got out of there. Cool. She stood tall. Awesome. So that was good. Good start to the show. Then we had the Queen of the Ring, Stephanie Von Keur. That's Evie Nile. You hear me?
You stupid.
Ivy Nile. WWE Tag Team Champion Raquel Rodriguez and the returning Asuka. Shout out to Asuka, who's back, y'all. And Asuka gets the win here because Rhea Ripley came and pulled, I think she pulled out the referee when the Tejada Bomb was hit on, I want to say, Von Keur, and Rhea Ripley came out, dropped her, gave her the riptide on the floor. That had to suck. And after that, Asuka gets the win with this. I guess her new finish is the hip attack to the face.
Stop it.
Jesus. I mean, hey, somebody throwing their ass in your face, I guess. I guess it works. So Asuka gets the win. She cut a promo afterwards. And no one is ready for Asuka. Asuka's back. First of all, it's good to see Asuka back. She's been out for a hell of a long time. Asuka is a welcomed addition to this women's division. The women's division in WWE is very, very good, just like it is very, very good in AEW. So I'm glad both of these, and we need these. And Asuka's a star, so she's a star. She's been built up enough that we look at her as a star and we treat her as such. So shout out to her. So Gunther, we had the Judgment Day back there. They were all talking, and that would lead to stuff happening later on in the day. Gunther came back out, and then we went through the whole Goldberg stuff already. JD McDonough with Dirty Dom fought AJ Styles. AJ Styles got the win with the Styles Clash. Looked very, very cool in doing it, but shout out to them. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Backstage, Sheamus was warming up when Natalya, Maxine, and Tozawa was back there, and Tozawa said, "You have to kick his ass, Sheamus." So shout out to Sheamus, man. I hope he finally gets that title and they tell a story that the title that he just hasn't seen to been able to win, that IC title. Hopefully they tell a story with that before he's done with WWE, hopefully. But Sheamus is just last couple of years, man, we're gonna put some respect on his name too. All right, so Bayley's backstage, walking past the New Day, and she addresses her attack on Becky Lynch. Becky comes back out there and she says, listen, this whole thing was basically, listen, you're insecure, you have this insecurity about me from back then. That's why when you fought Lyra, you were scared, and that's why you did that. And Becky was like, yeah, you cheered me when I came back. They ain't cheer you. They don't care about you. They care about me. Shout out Becky Lynch, man. I like heel Becky Lynch. So she basically, she's insecure. Lynch was so worried about what people would think. After a year away, she had to take Bayley out to be a surprise. And Bayley mentions that Lynch attacked Lyra the next day because she was scared she was scared of Lyra. And Becky said, you cheered that too, didn't you? Shout out to them having the presence of mind to shit on the crowd when it calls for it. Shout out to that. So they ended up getting into it. Bayley knocks him out of the ring, and she's mad. That was all that happened, and that was that. Cool. Now we have Kairi Sane versus Liv Morgan. Now, unfortunately, Liv got hurt, and something I've heard like many wrestlers say in interviews, a lot of times. Two things they say. They say a lot of times it's the little things that hurt. The big things don't really hurt that much. Oh, you went off a 12-foot ladder through a table. Did it hurt? They'd be like, nope. No, didn't hurt. It was cool. They'd be like, oh, you took a power driver onto a table through a flaming hot whatever. Did it hurt? They'd be like, nope. Nope. But then they say, oh, you slid across the ring and you blew out your knee. Like craziness. That's the other thing they say is It's always a little shit that gets them injured. It's crazy. That's nuts. That's nuts. And it's the truth. I mean, we've seen people get power bombed hard onto concrete, head butted. We've seen people get 630 through 630 senton through a table. We've seen people do Spanish flies on, like, dive moonsaults onto a table on the outside, elbow drops. Nobody gets hurt. We've seen Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn damn near kill each other. Nobody, and I'm talking about before this last match they had where KO was already hurt in that match. But we see somebody just literally get taken down. They land on their shoulders like this, and their shoulder pops out. Crazy. Now, it's always the little things that get people hurt, and that sucks. That sucks. And we want to wish Liv a speedy recovery. Liv is doing some awesome work, some of the best work of her career the past couple of years. And it sucks when you got to have, when you have to take time off. And the shitty thing about shoulders is once they pop out, they can always pop back out. That was Randy Orton's problem. Randy Orton had notorious for breaking his collarbone a couple of times, dislocated shoulder, but once your shoulder's out, it's kind of loosey-goosey. It could come out anytime you want, anytime it wants. So you kind of got to be mindful of that. But literally, a takedown, which she's probably done 100,000 million times. Remember when Seth Rollins blew out his knee when he did the what's it called? The somersault, and the somersault into the powerbomb. And he did the somersault and blew his knee out. And he said, I've done that thing 100 million times, and I don't understand why this time it blew out. That's what happens. That's what happens every single freaking time. But hopefully Liv is okay. They called the match off because she couldn't finish the match. She was in a lot of pain. And like I said, hopefully, because there are grades to separated shoulders, dislocated shoulders. There's like the little one where, they pop it back in, you're out for a couple of weeks, you rehab it a little, you're good. And then there's a little bit worse where they pop it back in, you might be out a month, and it's like, all right, we're good. And then there's it requires surgery to put back and make sure it doesn't come out, and that's going to be months. So hopefully it's not that bad and just a freaking accident. So hopefully she's okay. And shout out to Liv. She will be back and better than ever. We had backstage with Sami Zayn talking about facing Randy Orton this Friday on SmackDown. Sami Zayn talked about the world title and how he wants it. And then Karrion Kross walks up. The crowd cheer. First of all, we need to get Karrion Kross in something, man. Perfect example of doing what you got to do, getting yourself over and figuring that shit out. Shout out to him. God damn it. So Kross says Sami Zayn is an insane person who is repeating the same things over and over. This Friday, Zayn will face a guy who knows how to win, Randy Orton, and Sami Zayn will lose. Orton will go on to be a 15-time world champion, and Sami Zayn will stay at 0. Sami Zayn thinks that Kross is a coward. Kross hides in the shadows, talks in riddles. Kross doesn't fight because maybe he can't back it up. Zayn has lost the courage. Zayn said he's lost the courage to pick himself up. Can Kross say the same? Zayn is done listening to Kross. King of the Ring is his priority. The second that is done, he's going to Adam Pearce. They'll have their match once and for all. And Kross says it's about time and walks off. Now, Jay comes out, and we have Jay versus Rusev versus Sheamus versus Big Bronson Reed. And the end of this match, holy hell, end of this match was really, really good. So let's start here. So we had Sheamus hits Rusev with a bro kick for a 2 count. Reed breaks it up. Reed breaks it up with a senton splash. Reed then goes to top rope, hits a tsunami for a 2 count, but Jay breaks it up. Jay soon hits the ropes and hits Reed with the spear. And he goes to the top rope, but Bronson Reed pushes him down. Sami Zayn then comes out of nowhere and attacks Bronson Reed. Attacks Braun Breaker, because Braun Breaker interfered. That was my bad. Sorry, y'all.
You stupid.
And then he hits him with a haluva kick, sends him flying. And Breaker catches him, military presses him, and throws him over the commentary table. But then El Penta, Cero Miedo, takes Braun Breaker out with a somersault senton. And then Reed is going, Reed hits Uso with a Death Valley driver. Reed is going up for another tsunami, but LA Knight, pushes him down. And then Reed eats a super kick, eats a spear, goes up for a top rope Uso splash. I think he goes back up to another Uso splash and gets the win. And that was good. So good ending here. Everybody hitting big moves. Then everybody decides to come out and get their asses kicked. So Mr. Seth Rollins comes down and says, man, F all this. I'm going to kick somebody's ass. Starts to take his stuff off, but the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, runs in to make the save. The crowd is singing Cody's name very loud. Rollins says, you know what? This just ain't worth it. And he hightails it out of there. So that was all she wrote. Now listen, I'm not going to sit here and say this was a bad show, because it wasn't. It was a good show. It was a good show. Solid. Not too crazy. Sucks that we had some injuries, but hopefully people get well soon. That's really all I can say about that. So with that being said, AEW Dynamite review will be out. I'm going to say I'm going to put it out tomorrow, so look out for that. Shout out to everybody hitting the like button. Shout out to people jumping in the chat. We are here for entertainment purposes, and by God damn it, we're going to entertain the people. So with that being said, RJD here. Shout out to What the Wrestling. We are out. Tiger uppercut. Everybody stay safe on this Juneteenth. Be safe out here, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. That's it. It's over. The next time, I'll see you. Y'all know what that is? Deuces.